Alrighty, good afternoon, everyone. Live. Let's get a few more minutes, and we'll start here in a little bit, y'all. Just give me a few more minutes, and we'll go live here in a minute. Settled here. Couple more minutes here, and we'll get started here on this live stream. Type in the chat where you're watching from, and we'll get started here in a minute. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started. So, first of all, we've had happy late Easter to everyone out there. We're going to go ahead and get started about the severe weather outbreaks that are coming in next week as we head into late April and early May. Is looking very active for severe weather. We also have, and then shortly after those severe weather outbreaks next week, we're going to have more coming our way. That's going to be coming into late May into early June. So we'll talk about on that, and we'll head into late May and early June when that gets closer. I want to start out as the Storm Prediction Center. We do have a marginal risk from southeastern Tennessee all the way down to southeastern Louisiana. We also have a small area up here in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York State. That's also a marginal risk for severe thunderstorms. Tomorrow we have another storm system coming off the west coast. That one's not supposed to be a bad severe weather event, but we could have a couple hailers from Chicago all the way down toward the Mexico and Texas border. That's a level 1 risk, and we also have a level 1 risk over there in the Carolinas, as well as South Carolina and North Carolina as well. Now, we do have a level 2 risk over here from outside of Wichita all the way down to the Fort Stockton area. That severe risk is mostly for hail and wind. So we go to tornado threat. We do have an isolated tornado threat tomorrow across eastern New Mexico, western Texas, in the western panhandle of Texas from Fort Stockton to Midland, down over near to Roswell, New Mexico, all the way up east to Lubbock. The wind risk is there. No tornado risk in the Carolinas tomorrow. But as we go to the wind risk, we do have an isolated wind risk as well in the Carolinas, and not including the Chicago area in the damaging wind in the wind risk. But see where that 15% slight risk is. That is where we're going to have the most of the damaging winds. We are expected to have supercells develop from a dry line setup with a closed low that comes in. This is not supposed to be a severe weather outbreak tomorrow. We just dealt with the 3-day severe weather outbreak the last 3 days, including Easter one, but this could be a big hail event. This is more of a dry line hail setup for Texas and New Mexico. The hail risk is also 15. It's not hatched, but it is a 15% hail risk all the way from Chicago all the way down to the New Mexico border. But that main hail risk is from Fort Stockton all the way to east to Wichita, Kansas. That is your tomorrow's outlook. Then we go to the day 3 outlook. Day 3, we also have a marginal risk for severe weather from Nebraska all the way down to Midland, not including Fort Stockton. I do expect this to shift a little eastward into Oklahoma City, Tulsa, maybe into Wichita Falls and Wichita, Kansas as well. And you can see where that 5% probabilistic outlook is set up. Let's go ahead and go into the models. This is the European model showing you like what is the atmosphere looking like the next couple of days. Now this is the 12Z this is the 12Z European model. You can see what we do here. We start to see moisture return coming up from the Gulf coming in. You can see where we have moisture return all the way down into Houston, maybe all the way up to northern Louisiana, even southeastern Arkansas. And you can see where that low moves away. Then we get some moisture return all the way up to West Virginia. sooner that will transition from. Then we go into Wednesday. Wednesday, that moisture tries to go up further north. We start out with the cold core setup here with severe weather in the Panhandle of Texas, all the way up toward the near the Chicago area. That's why we have that day 3 risk area, because that's where the most of that is going to be. Thursday around 9Z. This is about 12 o'clock on. This is 12 o'clock on Thursday. You can see here we've got 60 degree dew points all the way up toward all the way up there, all the way up toward north central, all the way up to north central Kansas now. Now let's go farther north. As we go in early in the day, later in the day on Thursday, we do think we're going to have a severe weather risk across portions of the Great Plains and the mid-Missouri valleys here, maybe even the marginal risk extending all the way up to northern Wisconsin. Now, where does this dew points go? These dew points stay across the mid-Missouri Valley, mid-Mississippi Valley, as well as the Oklahoma area as well. Those storms will generally move out of the area. And as I go forward here, we go to Saturday. Saturday looks to be a significant day of severe weather from Michigan all the way down to the Gulf Coast states there. And we also have a big risk here as we jump to Saturday again. And then as we go to Sunday, the 27th of April, we do transition from mid-Mississippi Valley severe weather risk back to the Great Plains, and the Great Plains will start to have some of those severe risk. We'll start to have some of those, the storms really start to initiate off the boundary there. Now, as we go over into the April 28th time frame, you can see how far north those 60-degree dew points go. This is all the way up to next Monday. The dew points, man, we have a dry line set up. This could set us up for a big-time severe weather outbreak coming in next Monday. And then as you can see here, it's Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we still are dealing with humid air, 70-degree dew points from Texas, southeastern Louisiana, maybe up to the Carolinas and Florida. Now look at this. This is Wednesday. Wednesday, we also are dealing with next Wednesday. This is still several days out. This will definitely change. This is Monday of this week. We still have almost 5 days, 6 days until this really even happens. But this is giving us a general idea of what the atmosphere is going to be setting up like. And then this frontal boundary doesn't really go nowhere. So you got the next Friday, you still have a solid area of dew points of 60-degree dew points all the way to the East Coast, all the way up into Maine, if this model ends up being right. Then that frontal boundary goes through. We have a zonal flow after that, and then that's the end of the run. We may have some marginal slight risk areas after that into May 6th time frame. Now, the other thing I want to look at is the 500 millibar winds. What is the wind? What is the upper level winds supporting here? So now, as we headed to tomorrow, Wednesday, we have a little bit of a jet stream coming in, going in here, supporting some sort of severe weather on day 3. It's not supposed to be a big time outbreak, I don't think, on Wednesday. I don't expect Wednesday to be a big time outbreak. You've got a little bit of a converging low that tries to come on the coast, but it really doesn't do anything. You can see a little bit of a low pressure there, but we're mainly in a zonal flow, which means calm weather for the next few days. We're also dealing with that, but we're at 66 knots up there in northern Minnesota. And then as we go forward here, we also have a little bit of a jet stream coming in here as well. This jet stream is definitely coming in. You can see here, we have this little bit of a dip here. This will be our risk as we start in Friday. You can see we have that secondary low that comes in. Bowling ball low pressure really starts to be evident across portions of the Four Corners risk. And then you can see here a negative tilt. Look at the European model. European model showing you a negative tilt trough of 70 to 80 knots of it's not the low level jet. This is your upper level jet. So this is the upper level jet stream. And then as you go forward, that system moves out, but then we have another system that tries to come in multiple systems as we have this ridge start to set up across the United States. After that, and then another risk comes in after that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the low jet, which is your 850 millibars. We go forward here to Friday. Not a big risk area for Friday, but as we go forward, still nothing. I don't expect nothing through this rest of the week after the next few weeks. But as we head into Sunday, this is where things change. I think we're going to have an isolated tornado threat as this big dip in the jet stream comes in. So you could have tornadoes across South Dakota, maybe into portions of Nebraska, maybe in Kansas. But I think the southern mode from southern Kansas all the way down to southern Texas, I think that's going to be a risk area for tornadoes. Then you can see where all the energy shifts to the east here. All that energy shifts to the east across Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. And then I expect this to go a bit further to the east as that funnel boundary moves to the east. We see 40 to 50 knot low jet really start to go across the area, and then you can see that system does move away. And as that system moves away, we have another low that tries to come in, So that is your 850 millibar low jet. Another thing I want to look at is what does the instability look like the next few weeks? The instability is going to be a big key to what happens next few weeks of severe weather. So let's go back to Friday. Let's skip ahead to Friday of this week. Friday of this week, we have the instability for severe storms. But do we get a storm system that tries to interfere with this, that reacts with the instability? And if we do, pop goes to storms, and then we got severe weather. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And you can see we have 1,000 to 2,000 Cape across Oklahoma, almost to 1,000 instability there across Arkansas and southern Missouri. Now, as we head into portions of Oklahoma, we have 2,000 to 3,000 instability. We also have that instability. Those storms really start to initiate, but you can see where the western Kansas, western Panhandle, Texas, central Oklahoma, we also have those storms that really start to initiate. And then look at these Cape values, guys. We've got Cape values all the way up to northern Minnesota. That's 1,000 instability. So this is what I'm talking about, that we're going to have multiple days of severe weather. Some of these may be significant severe weather outbreaks too. So just giving y'all a heads up. What is the GFS model showing? Let's see what the GFS is showing, if it's agreeing with the European model here. So we go forward here to Saturday. We have a little bit of a severe weather risk on Saturday. And then you can see we have more storms developing there. And then look at the GFS model. It really shows a big core of severe weather here across Arkansas, Oklahoma, all the way up to Iowa. And then you see more severe weather. The GFS, that's the GFS thing, but you can see what it does. It gives us a couple of days of severe weather there. So your supercell composite here showing you like, hey, what is the atmosphere? What's like the ingredients we're gonna have? Is it going to be right? But it's going to giving us a general idea of what the weather is going to be like and who's going to get what. We don't know the exact hazards of these storms, but you can see generally think the northern plains, the Great Plains in Oklahoma, Arkansas, all those tornado alley is going to definitely come alive. Let's go to dew points. Last thing here, go to dew points here, and we'll look at what the GFS model is showing for Friday. You can see GFS model agreeing with the European, as we have 70-degree dew points across most of the area. You can see as we head forward here, this is Monday the 28th of April. You can see dew points going all the way up to South Dakota. The GFS is a lot further east with the dew point spread here. We may have a cold core setup across southern Arkansas, but I doubt that's going to generally fill in as we head into the areas. But this is the 30th of April. You can see dew points really spreading to the east into New Jersey, and then those storms move out. But then look, the GFS model really wants to do moisture return faster than what the European model does. So what I'm seeing is not a good agreement on what happens after next week, but what I can say is that we're heading into a very active pattern of severe weather. Make sure you have your severe weather plan in place just in case these upcoming weather events does end up producing a tornado or a wind or hail risk, you know what to do during a severe thunderstorm. And yeah, so that's all I got for y'all this morning. We will have another live later on, but y'all stay safe. Happy late Easter, and I will keep you